What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It's full-time reaction to Celtic 1, Hearts 2 here at Celtic Park. I've got full house with me. Martin, Stuart and Callum are here to go over the game. Martin, disappointing obviously, really disappointing to come out on the end of a defeat. A changed lineup. I think we were all wondering if the manager would go 3-4-3 from the beginning. He did. What did you make of what you watched today?
I feel quite flat at the end of that. It's so unlike me, but I feel flat. I post Martin O'Neill, I was a huge fan and disappointed to see him moving on, but I understand why. New guy comes in, brings a bit of freshness. Quite excited listening to some of the things he said this week around his interpersonal skills, his people skills, and wasn't put off by the new tactics and playing three at the back. I thought we'll see what that turns out to be. But other than the first 10-15 minutes, I thought we didn't really perform well in the game at all. And I know it'll take a wee bit of time, but that was just one of those games that you didn't want to make a mess of, and we made a royal mess of it. And I thought at times there was a bit of directness, a bit to get you excited and out your seat, but the end product wasn't there. And defensively for most of that game we looked really, really nervous, and this is almost as if the players were confused by the new system. And I know these things take time, but I went in the game today thinking we'd get a good result. Hearts have been on a bad run of form, and it just wasn't to be. Once they got their first goal, I was not expecting too much thereafter, and then they get their second goal and it felt like game over, even though there was still a lengthy period to go and we didn't create much after that. But I feel a bit flat after that, if I'm being honest.
I think we all feel a bit flat. Stuart, I thought we started okay in the first 15-20 minutes. We have two big chances for Diaz and Maeda. I think he could have done better with those. It was always a day where the first goal in the game was going to be massive. We go on to lose the first goal in the game at the worst possible time, like 3 minutes before half time. I thought second half we did look confused. I thought we looked like a team that totally had not got to grips with the instruction and even where they were in relation to each other on the pitch. Now, it's the manager's first game in charge. He's had 2 days with the team. Probably one of them was a non-training day as well, so it's hard to be too harsh on them. But I suppose the big question is, the manager said he would introduce some nuances but not have an overhaul. That certainly looked like a big change.
Aye, without a doubt. I thought it was really bold, and I understand. Like, I watched an interview last year with Ruben Amorim when Man United were just above the relegation zone in the Premier League, and he's saying, I'm going to stick with my tactical idea. This is what I know. So I understand why Wilfried Nancy came in and did that. You could say he could have maybe just played the same system, even the same team that's been winning, keep the kind of consistency in that regard. But I don't really feel that I can't blame him for not compromising on his idea. What I would question then is the timing of the appointment, because it's a massive gamble, right? You're going into a 6-pointer at the top of the league, the team that you have, after a shocking start, managed to chase down thanks to the efforts of Martin O'Neill and the team. And then you go into this game and you give the new guy like the biggest baptism of fire imaginable, and he's gone in and he's gone with his idea. But it's such a massive change. Like, there's going to be players that won't have played 3-4-3 in their professional career trying to do that after a day on the training pitch. Right. So there's loads of questions you could raise from that. But in that first 10, 15, maybe 20 minute spell, you saw some of the ideas, like different channels, different runs, different potential combinations.
There was a few diagonals from McGregor out looking for likes of Tenecti down the left hand side, which is not something we're used to certainly under Rodgers, like McGregor getting the ball out his feet and looking into a channel. That run for out to in. Exactly,
the run for out to in, and then like players dropping and swapping positions. And I think like between the kind of wider guys and the 2 front men off the main front man, there's the potential for something really fun, creative, and definitely domestically games where we will score goals and create barrel loads of chances. But just the timing of it all is really difficult. And today in the game, Celtic didn't manage the game at all. Hearts showed maturity, showed discipline, showed a wee bit of nastiness that we've often accused Celtic of lacking in recent years, and that's what won the game today. It was a team that knew exactly what they had to do and managed the game whatever means necessary to get the win, and they got the win. Whereas we lost at times.
I think what you said there, it's a team that looked like they knew exactly what to do against a team that doesn't look like they know what to do in a brand new system. Callum, I thought in terms of the first goal, I'm sitting behind the play, so my only viewing of it, obviously live, was that Braga did look offside, but I think Engels just went to block the cross and play them on. The thing you've got to say there is, I mean, you should always play the whistle defending an attacking situation like that, especially under VAR, because the ball's going to go dead until there's any decision made anyway. But Braga's the most proactive, and he gets a goal out of it. And I think defensively at times today, when we had to defend our box, it was a bit rope-a-dope. It was like people were falling over each other, banging into each other.
It was like
last ditch. It was chaos at times trying to defend our box. I think we looked really nervy, and I think that was probably an example. And like I said before, losing a goal 2 minutes before half time, it's hardly a worse time to lose the first opening goal.
Aye, that comes from Celtic missing 2 really good chances, and before that at Leeds, I think the first one he scuffs it, Swallow gets down, it's quite an easy save. The second one, Tanecki does well to take it on the chest and then slip in Daizen Maeda, but Daizen goes to hit it and then he actually stops and then goes again, and at that point the balls went too fast. It was soaking today, the pitch, you could see a lot of the times the players were struggling with long balls and it was just over hit or it was under hit. But in the first half there was a lot of balls from Nygren and Engels, simple little 5-yard passes in between the right centre back and the right back, just slide it in, and they were so over hit, and it was like, and the crowd were getting on the players at that point, because it's like, it's not really difficult to do that, and you just felt there was a disjointment. And then the goal that Hearts get is so typical of a Derek McInnes side, that they'll sit in, soak up pressure, and then they'll hit you, and they hit Celtic where it really hurt, right before half time, the worst time to lose a goal. It just kills the atmosphere in the stadium, and again Engels is a little bit unfortunate. He slides to try and block the initial cross that comes in, he then trickles back onto the pitch and now he plays everybody on. And then Callum McGregor, who's brilliant for us, but by God, I don't know what he's doing. He's standing there with his hand up, like it's childish stuff, like play to the whistle, deal with it after. When you watch it back, he just stands and puts his hand up and Braga goes, out the way you. It's Braga, it's not Shankland, like a big physical maybe striker that can hold it. It's Braga, he's nimble, he's quick, and as you say, bang, he's alive. Celtic don't have that in the other end. I just don't believe that. Daizen Maeda is he a left winger, is he a striker, who knows, right? But he's just not clinical like that was, and Braga just sniffs it out, bang, in the corner, and the whole back line are looking shocked as if like he's miles offside, where Engels puts his head down and is like, oh, I'm the one that's been caught, and doesn't say anything. Like, so that's a real sucker punch for the manager on his debut, and we can talk about it. Should they have went 3-4-3? I'm not sure, but at the same time, maybe he needs to believe in what he believes, and maybe he doesn't come in and stick with Martin O'Neill because it's not Martin O'Neill's team anymore. So I'm a little bit, I don't really know how to judge that. And again, the games actually get harder. With Roma coming up on Thursday, which is going to be like really difficult, and then obviously the cup final against a team that are exactly like Hearts, are very set piece, analytical, that's where they'll hurt you. They'll get it down, they'll sit in at Hampden, they'll try and do that
try and hit you in the counter
as well. So I think Celtic are in a real bit of a, I don't know if I want to use the word dangerous, but they're in a really sticky patch right now with all this change that's happening. There's just not a really good feeling around the club, is there?
No, not at all, Martin. I think in the second half, going 1-0 down just before half time, you're looking for us to build a bit of momentum in the game and pin Hearts back. And we just never managed to do that at any point. Maybe in the last, obviously, an added time, we get a wee bit up ahead of steam. Engels has a header that gets saved. Hatati hits the bar on a rebound, and then Tierney gets the late consolation. But I thought in the middle period of that second half, we did look so disjointed. That was probably our worst spell in the game, because even before the Hearts second goal, we just couldn't create anything at all. And there was even times when we were on the ball in the middle of the pitch, it was really untidy. Callum's touched on the underhit and overhit passes at times. There's even players running into each other at times. Again, we just looked so nervy and confused, and even with the changes that the manager made in the game, didn't really affect it too much, did they?
I couldn't agree more with what Stuart said about the timing of it, because they've had hardly any time in the training pitch. They did look confused. I think about Trusty in particular, that first goal, Trusty had a chance. Don't know if any of you seen it back on the TV or not, but Trusty's kind of the last man defending, and he done that run out to stop the ball going past you, and almost, missed the ball completely. And it's one of those, keep your eye on the ball, make sure that you get a foot in the ball so you can stop it getting past you. Keeper's partly blinded because Trusty's in the road. He looked a bit lost today, I thought, Trusty. I mean, the whole defence, I suppose that was where it starts, back at 3 at the back. We're not used to that. There was just loads of things. I mean, we didn't know who was coming off as a sub. It was not just the guy on the microphone getting it wrong. The players weren't sure. And then when they made subs, it felt like there was players jumping about in all different positions. Just some sort of kamikaze, you know, for a first time. I think a little bit of continuity alongside some minor adjustments, working towards the radical change that is about to come. But I couldn't agree with Stuart more. We'll get over Martin O'Neill leaving, and probably Martin O'Neill, I'm guessing, as much as he said he really enjoyed it, it was a magical time. He probably thought 73 he didn't want it long term. Yeah. So we can say, should the board have kept it, should they not? I don't know. I mean, Martin O'Neill would need to tell you whether he would have stayed if it had been offered it. But the timing of it was totally bizarre, because these things do take time, and clauses and paperwork and visas and all that stuff. I think there's a visa involved. But you think, just keep Martin for those 3 games, the Hearts game, the Roma game, albeit Europe's not massive for us, but wouldn't it be nice just to get another result in Europe, or try and avoid a heavy defeat, and of course try and win the first trophy. But keep him for those 3 games, and then, you know, the new manager come. There's never an easy time to come in, but there are easier times. Not an easy time, just easier. Yeah. And there's certainly difficult times to come in, and this, without a shadow of doubt, despite it being 2 home games, consecutive home games, St Mirren will be a tough final. Roma's going to be an incredibly tough game on Thursday, and today was an opportunity to, you know, the old traditional 6-pointer. We've worked so hard to get back to a really, you know, good position of strength, and today we could have went top with a game in hand, and then all of a sudden the pressure's off the manager when he comes in, because he's got a lead. He's not just, Martin O'Neill's not just got us back to where we are, he's got a lead, and therefore he's got a little bit of slack if he doesn't get his results right away. But the opposite happened. So I agree with everything Stuart said around the timing of it. It just feels a bit bizarre, and today, as I say, feel a bit flat. Normally I come out the game and find something positive to promote, but I didn't feel that way at all today. I don't think there was anything you can take from that game where you think, other than the odd directness. I thought we created half chances in the second half. A lot of crosses came in and we just missed the header, you know, jumped too soon or jumped too high or whatever, but nothing that would really excite you. We say that was a great passage of play, and it certainly didn't happen 2 or 3 times consecutively. It was very, very broken. And how easy was their second goal? Simple cross comes in, header unchallenged. Just thinking, oh my goodness, did that actually just happen? So it was the fact that with both the goals, I thought it was an opportunity to defend them much better. Not just the fact the set was a set piece, but get a bit closer to the man, put him under a bit of pressure, and not just Trusty, but Trusty had the opportunity to block that ball with the first goal and failed to do so. So that's probably the biggest frustration. They weren't fantastic goals. They were good goals, but they weren't fantastic goals. And then at the other end, we didn't create nearly enough. But that's, I suppose, has been the case. And even during Martin's period when he's done well, we've won by the odd goal quite often. Often a late goal. Yeah. But at least it felt like you understood what we're all about, and you know, it was get stuck in, put your heart and soul. But today it was kamikaze, and we were at Benny Hill stuff at times.
Aye, in the second half, it certainly was. Martin said that the second goal there for a set piece, so disappointing. It's a deep cross. I don't know if it's Harry Milne taking the corner, but it's deep towards the back post or the back central area, the 18-yard box. McEntee gets up, heads it in. I could see as soon as it left his head it was going to find its way in at the far corner. So disappointing defensively. That's something we'll obviously need to tidy up. Hearts are a team that are strong at set pieces. Should have defended better. So that's both goals you're looking at and thinking defensively we really should have done much better. We've mentioned the missed chances, but I think that middle period of the game was a real disappointment, Stuart. And now going forward, like, it's still the same scenario. You've still got a lack of training pitch time. It's still a radical change from what the players have been used to. How long is it going to take for it to click, for them to settle into the new patterns and rotations? And we've got big games coming up, and I think something that was clear to me today, but with the back 3 at times, I know they're not used to it yet, is you can be vulnerable in the counter-attack, and we'll need to be careful against other sides.
I think there was one moment where I saw like a real idea of how this could be quite exciting. Like, so I'm just trying to find a crumb of positivity. There was a period, I can't remember, I think it was near the start of the second half, where McGregor and Engels were both getting pressed maybe 5 to 10 yards outside our box, and they played it really tight in that central area, and it created an overload. It was a 3-on-3, and I thought that's how this system can create different patterns of play that can give you chances. And then I think it ended up with Maeda. Nygren played a pass to Maeda through the kind of central area, so basically not exposing any of the space that we'd created, and then it ended up with Tuneki, who did his usual humph, and then nothing. Aye. So I can see where the seeds maybe are there, And if he comes in and he wins today, as you say, Martin, it's a totally different picture. But now you're looking at it and you're saying, if Wilfried Nancy, if there's a 3-goal or more defeat in the European game, and then you don't win the cup final, then what are you looking at? What are you looking at that for a start? Like, how? Because the thing is, Ange came in, and this feels similar to that in terms of it's someone from a totally different part of the world. It's a totally different sort of almost firebrand style of football that's coming in. Ange had that sticky period at the start and then just flew. Wilfried Nancy, on the other hand, is coming into a time where and that's another thing. I have never seen Celtic Park be so fraught with the fans. There's times where the fans got on the team's back. There's times where fans can get a wee bit arguing and stuff. But I saw 3 or 4 different disputes in the stand today because people have so much anger and angst. Some of it's at the board, some of it's at the team, but people just don't really know where they want to aim that right now. So you're bringing this manager not just into a pressure situation football-wise, but off the pitch. Things are as difficult as they've been for Celtic since, well, maybe the 1990s, you could argue, when other stuff was going on. So I look at this right now and I think this guy has been dealt a really, really difficult hand, and he had to get this first game right, like to give himself that cushion you were talking about, Martin. He's not. And now you're facing a scenario where if he has like a defeat, and definitely a heavy defeat in Europe, and then doesn't win the cup final, then the feeling around this club will be mutinous.
Callum, I think the results are obviously the thing that decides the narrative. It is early days for the manager, but the players on the pitch, I think at certain positions, he's talked about tactical flexibility. We've got Yang on the right wing back today, Tenekte on the other side, McKeown comes on, Johnny Kenny comes on. I think there's a lot of players who we're not sure about. I mean, Yang, for example, who has 1 or 2 good games every 30 appearances, you probably wait another 25 before he'll play well again. There is these players in the team that have never really cut it, and so that does lead us back to the bad hand that he's been dealt. It needs to be rectified as quickly as possible and as strongly as possible in January in the transfer market, because that's the only hope of that system working, is yes, getting the time in the training pitch, but also increasing the quality that's on the pitch.
Aye, look, I go away tonight, not really learned anything new. I knew what our problems were, I knew where our issues lie, and that raised above the parapet again today. It happened. It doesn't shock me that. Our Hearts right now, board-wise, better run than Celtic are. Yes, I believe so. Are their squad in a better place than our squad? I believe so. And are they top of the league? Yeah, they are. 3 points. Hearts are fundamentally working better on every single station than what Celtic are. That's reality. It's whether you agree or disagree. That's the reality truth that it is. There's a real good harmony between the fans and the board and the manager. And Derek McInnes is an experienced manager, the most experienced manager in this league. So he came to Celtic and done a job today, done a really good job on Celtic. I will give him credit for that. Hearts took their chances when they really needed to, and again, what we've learned, what we already knew, was Celtic are powder puff up front. That is the reality. I don't go home to think, oh by God, like we did create some chances. We hit the crossbar at the end. Engels has a really good header at 6 yards and hits it right at Swallow. Any corner and bang, the game's back on. So there's moments that I don't go home tonight thinking we've not created much. Is all right,
sorry, I keep going.
Jesus, but there's no. I don't go home tonight thinking we didn't create anything. We did, and we just didn't take our chances, and that goes back to the summer. And again, there's a new manager, there's a new feel. The fans are still angry. Look around the stadium today. All the Celtic supporters club with all the banners out saying sack the board, get them out. It's not going to change. It's not. Like, we're getting to January soon, and it's still that feeling. Celtic have a massive month coming up in January, and do I believe that they can make an impact on the squad? I think it's very difficult. I really do. Like, he's going to need to pull us out of something somewhere in the MLS and try and get players in. But I think it's a very difficult job for Wilfried Nancy, and again, it's no blame on him today. I don't think that he made us, with his tactics, lose the game. I just think this Celtic team have shown all season that they can get high, but they can also have lows. And I think today Nygren was a disgrace. Like, it was so poor. Engels extremely poor. McGregor wasn't his usual self either. I talk about the first goal and how he just puts his arm up and doesn't fight for the ball, fight for the cause. Heart's better on it, they're quicker. You look at up front, even like McCowan comes on, he tries to have a few shots, but some of them are just in Grove's head. Yang does it as well, and there was that dysfunction between the players. It was almost just like throw everything at it and see what we can do. Interesting that he brought Kenny on over Iheanacho. I thought the game maybe suited Iheanacho to try and hold it and pin somebody, roll. Kenny was a bit more fighting, he didn't do too bad, but again, it shows you where Celtic are right now, that we're having to go to Kenny to get us out of the well, and that's summed up the start of this season and into the middle of the season now. Celtic are in a really difficult and bad place, and I wouldn't stick all my money on it saying that they'll get out of it.
Aye, and I think, like you say, it's going to come back to recruitment, and the recruitment operation is going to come under scrutiny again after the summer. So there you go, that's it for tonight. Give us your own thoughts on the game below, and we'll see you during the week for the build up to that Europa League tie against Roma.